Yes. Welcome back to the Blue Room. Part 2, the vocal edition of How Many Times, the How I Mixed It series that I have here on my channel. Yeah. If you haven't already and you're joining me for the first time, hit the subscribe button. I am ContinentalCrooks. I create music, both the song, vocal version and the instrumental version. And I release them quite often. And this How I Mixed It series is how I'm doing what I'm doing. You heard? So make sure hit the subscribe button. Now let's jump into these vocals, these vocals. Boom. Here we go. So I'm gonna say a few things before I jump on in. You have a lead vocal. It's labeled like that, but it's basically the lead verses. And the outro. You then have lead chorus, which is the intro, and the first bits of the chorus. Yeah. In the background vocals, you have an intro layer, yeah, with this and this go together. That's slogans and whatnot. Second part. So the chorus, and it has 3 layers. The lead verse, the stabs, the back or the ad-libs. So this is all the backing to this. And then you have a layer of the chorus in, with another section that goes with the other 2 parts, but I'm gonna break it down. Yeah. So let's start with the lead, the verse, right?
Too far for the deeds of the heart, scattered amongst the stars. It's a part of the fabric that wove us together.
As normal, because it's the lead, it's up the center with the chords and the kick, right? So we have waves tune, speed of retune is 10, note transition is 35, the register is bass, major, G major is the scale, and it's a 65 or 60% of correction. Right, so you see how I was using neutron on the instrument section, the beat. I'm using nectar on the vocals, right? Right, let's bypass. It's a part of the fabric that wove us together. I was told you gotta build bridges to find out really who you are. Try to do it by yourself, you won't get too far. Don't go too far or you might miss your star. That's too far. Clean up 0.5 on the pitch. Clarity is 1. BS is 1. Dynamics 1.2. On the polish, tone 1.2, space, which is a reverb 1, and that's how we get this. Right?
It's a part of the fabric.
So, as far as the vocal, I've done these two processes and I've got or used these two plugins, and it got the vocal to pop to be a certain way, less harsh in a certain space. It's really tuning. The other Nectar is more or less a plug-in chain. From this point, the song is fairly, or the vocal is fairly in a certain space. You could rock with that. What I then do is both the lead verse and the lead chorus, they're both ran, or they're both having another bus process going on. The lead vocal bus has Nectar. The pitch is different, 0.2. Clarity is the same, DSing, all of these things is more or less the same for the lead. It then has a channel strip with the male vocal preset, and I've activated all the stuff, the volume, filter, dynamics, EQ. So I'm activating all of these things to watch them. But on the EQ, on the low end, so I'm filtering everything below 143 hertz. I'm filtering that off. So I'm rolling off the lows on the vocal. So the vocal is not going to be clashing with the bass or the kick or none of these other processes that I've done with the other rolling and placement of sounds in the beat part. On the high end of the vocal, or in the high frequency spectrum, everything above 14.6 kilohertz is being rolled off, and the male vocal preset already defines these parameters here as far as the boost is for air and the mid-range and all of these other dips. Sidechain feature, the source, internal, detector, average, frequency filter, everything below 260.8 hertz. Roll that off with a high shelf filter. Compression and everything else is already in the preset. You could change it if you want tighter stuff or bump, but for me the bounce is what the preset says it's supposed to be. It does what it's supposed to be doing, so I don't fidget and move it around too much. I then have a saturation knob with about 0.7% of saturation, and then I have ozone tape saturation on that as well, but ozone is adding more saturation, and it's more like a it's more to do with the harmony and the low emphasis and the high emphasis with the frequency. So now when I run it back, it's on a bus. You hear the difference. Right. The next effect is some of the short delay. This is why I side-chained the lead vocal bus to the short delay, because the short delay, there's a bit of it on this reverb bus, but it's being used quite a bit on the beat, yeah, or the instrumental part. So we have this. Right? So the difference without the short delay, right? So we have that now, boom. So now we have all of the instruments sitting in their space, playing along with each other, doing their little dance, and then you have the vocal cleaned up and sitting on the bed or on top of all of these sounds, right? For the chorus, the lead chorus, we have something slightly different going on. Yeah. So we still have, so the lead chorus is this. Right? Waves tune. And everything is the exact same as the lead verse. Slight difference with this, only 0.1 in the difference here, and then everything else is the same as the lead verse. The difference comes in here, bam. There's a channel strip, yeah, but the cuts are different. 68.6 hertz on the low end, so not a lot of the lower end is being cut, and in the high end the same. So basically there's more bass in the chorus than the verse. The verse is a bit more airy, where the verse has more bass in it. But based on processing, or when I go further down, you will see a few things. Yeah. Next, we have the lead vocal bus. This, you have some of it being sent. So hear the difference. Right? Because the lead vocal is going to be doing its dance, we have some of the lead vocal reverb. So you hear the difference. Yeah. Right? Next, we have some short delay. Then we have some chorus. So you see, now it's sitting more, it's doing a slow dance. Yeah. But now all of that so far, if you look, lead, verse, lead, chorus. You have an outro on the lead verse and you have the intro on the lead chorus, right? So that's basically all the lead vocals. All of this now we're going to jump into is the backing. So the other layer that goes along with those layers, right? Now, this channel is labeled intro. That's because, okay, on the lead chorus bus, you have this intro. You have a double to it on this backing channel, but this backing channel has an effect going on it. Yeah. Bam. This is a part of the lead, but it's something totally different being said. So if you listen, sometimes I'll be saying something and then you hear in the background Continental, like the slogan and logos just going off. Continental, Crooks, NLG, hits are us, shoulda know, blah blah blah, all of this stuff. So that's this. Yeah. Now, playing the chorus, you realize second layer of chorus sounds like this.
Sometimes I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. It's so simple to see. How many times I gotta tell you, read a book or
Right.
shut your mouth. If you want to free. Let's take a
Nectar.
I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. It's so simple to see. How many times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. If you want.
So you see, now it's in its little space, doing its little dance. Right. Then I have auto pan, bouncing it left and right to 65 or 68 to 68. Yeah. Within the tempo of 120, it's bouncing it left and right. And that's this. Bam. Now, that is the only two things going on. Nectar and then auto pan. This channel here is backing vocal bus. On the backing vocal bus, you have a channel strip with smooth backing vocals as the preset. I've turned on all the filters, volume, dynamics, EQ, and filter. So the preset would give you this little piece in the middle, yeah, the yellowy bit or orange, whatever. I then go in and everything below 300 or everything below 268.6 hertz, I'm rolling all of that off. So from the backing vocals, a lot of the bass is gone because the backing is it's not supposed to clash with the lead vocal. It's just supposed to assist, right? The high end, I put a filter as well, and everything under 10.1 kilohertz I'm rolling, or everything above 10.1 kilohertz I'm rolling that off. Yeah. And then the side chain I'm rolling off 260.8 hertz, and I'm catching the average peaks with the detector on the internal source. So bam, I then have the saturation knob with the same 0.7, right? So when I then play the first layer of the backing and I put the backing vocal bus, right, before it sounds like this, right? But and it's bouncing, yeah. Then I add a little bit of short delay to it. And the unique thing with this part is I add a bit of the long delay to it as well. Now, here's the thing. As much as it's dancing already, there's two different layers going on, but only two parts of the layers, right? The same. How many times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth? 1, 2, there's 2 more layers that goes along with that. It's so simple to see if you wanna be free. There's 1, 2, 3 more layers that go on with that one layer, but it's the tones that when they come together, and then this is 3 different phrases, right? So, backing vocals, you now have on this first channel a double to everything. Okay? So all of the verse, you have little stabs. This little chorus piece, you have the stabs for it. The stabs for this is down here. Yeah. Second verse stabs. When we put that in, this is how we get this. Without any stabs, and they're panned 35 left and right. Right. The processing for this channel, backing vocal, is Nectar. Okay. From Nectar, a little bit of the backing vocal bus, a little bit of delay, backing vocal bus, minus 30, delay, minus 79.8, so roughly minus 80, and the long delay, minus 50. So basically it's just placing the vocal and then a little bit of effects to add the shimmer, because there's already lead vocals that is supposed to be dominating. None of these vocals is supposed to be dominating anything, so it's supposed to be adding a little bit of sauce. Understand? So we get this home. Right. I have another layer of backing vocals. These backing are panned 70, so they're further out, and if you look, they're turned down slightly more. But when they both come together with the lead vocal, you get a pop, and it's the same Nectar, the exact same as the other backing. The only difference is this one doesn't have any short delay. It only has the backing vocal bus, minus 60. It has some long reverb at minus 50. And then listening, when it comes in out, Alright, so now we have the leads, we have the backing. Now we're going to jump into the chorus. So all of what we've heard so far, when it comes on to the chorus, it's not in its full da da da. Yeah. Now, how many times I gotta tell it, da da da. Back in chorus, we have nectar. From nectar, we then have some of the backing vocal bus, a little bit sent, the same processing at minus 14, which means a lot of the effect is being applied. And then we have some vocal reverb at minus 40. And this is what it does. The same thing without that backing. Listen to the difference. Right. So basically with that layer, the chorus, then it's more upfront. Yeah. This is adding like certain mid-range dynamics as far as the lead part, because this is the part of the chorus that is supposed to be dominant. How many times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. There's two other layers going on, but those are adding spices as we go in. We'll see. That same layer has another layer to it. Yeah? This layer has, again, nectar. From nectar, we then now have an effect. The effect is called dad support. Yeah? So vocal bender, I am doing, so if you listen to how I'm talking now, yeah, I'm just talking and I can talk in this tone. Imagine singing in lower tones, but then vocal bender bends the frequency slightly lower with harmonics. Yeah? So that's vocal bender, and there's 54% of that support. Yeah? And you then have some short delay of 50, minus 50. So listening to it again. Now listen to that support.
Times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth if you wanna be free. It's so simple to see. If you wanna be free.
All right. So now, as I was saying, the two main layers so far.
How many times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth if you wanna be free. Times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. It's so simple to see. How many times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth if you wanna be free. Times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. It's so simple to see.
Right?
How many times I gotta tell you?
Okay. From there, this channel here, Spice. It's so simple to see. There is a layer all the way on the edges at 95, left and right, right? But it's turned down, right? We have nectar on it, 6% or 0.6 for the pitch. Everything else stays more or less. These ones brought down. Polish and space. We then have an instance of vocal bender with girlfriend support, and it's 50-50. So 50% of the effect, 50% of normal voice. Then you have a long delay on the send at 75.5%, and that gives you this kind of little effect.
Times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. It's so simple to see. How many times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth if you wanna be free.
Right.
Times I gotta tell you, read a book. It's so simple to see. If you wanna be free.
Right. So the next thing is, when I'm saying, how many times I gotta tell you? Here it's chorus answer. So how many times I gotta tell you? I have like a little harmony in the back, but then I have an answer to how many times. So it's like I'm asking a question and I'm giving an answer, right? On the answer, you have nectar, and a little bit of the background vocal bass send. So the answer is, how many times I gotta tell you? Times I gotta tell you. Right? So that's one layer. And it's panned up the center. So you can see it's the main one. Second one has nectar, then has vocal bender with that support. So this is, if you realize, layers before have similar plugins doing similar things. Right. We then have a little bit of the background vocal bass send at -60, and a little bit of the short delay at -30. It's pan 35 left and right. Yes. Then we have a harmony track with the final layer. Another instance of nectar, more 6 in the clarity pitch, dynamic or clarity pitch, clarity, DS, dynamics, tone, space. Then we have vocal bender. Again, girlfriend support, but on this one you have 35% being sent, or the mix, and then you have 70.1 minus 70.1 on the long delay return, and you get this. Right? So let's run it again. Let's add in the layers. So first chorus, we're gonna go down in order. Have this.
Times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. It's so simple to see. How many times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. If you wanna be free. Times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. It's so simple to see. How many times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. If you wanna be free. Times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. It's so simple. Times I gotta tell you. How many times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. Times I gotta tell you. Times I gotta tell you. Times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. Times I gotta tell you. Times I gotta tell you. How many times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. Times I gotta tell you. Times I gotta tell you.
All right. What I've just clicked on to while I'm showing the processing of this vocal channel, I had to send the chorus send was on, it was muted. This is why everything seems to pop a bit more, okay? And it sounds more like how it normally would. So look.
Many times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. Times I gotta tell you, times I gotta tell.
All of these chorus channels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they're all 5 of them are being sent to this chorus comp bus. So once process a little bit placed frequency wise, okay, run them to a bus. On the bus I have a RVOX -1 as the threshold, and then the ceiling is -2, which is kind of weird, yeah. But anyways, try that and then tell me what you find different with the sound. The attack is 16. Then you have some ozone vintage tape saturation, right? And then you have a red compressor, a red 3 compressor with the vocal or the Vox lead preset compression. So that's why when you play, bam, turn off the chorus channel, everything kind of dips because the saturation, the compression and everything is popping everything more in place to then assist. Right. Here's the other thing as well. So now we have layer 1, yeah, which is the lead vocals. We have layer 2, which is the backing vocals. We then have layer 3, which is the chorus vocals, and then these buses. Yeah. So these buses are left out. But then the chorus buses, they all ran to a vocal compression bus where you have nectar, just a little bit on the clarity, a little bit on the dynamics, the tone and space, everything else is 0. You then have a ozone vintage compressor with mid-side vintage, so basically spacing out and making the sounds or everything on the sides sound more vintage. You can make stuff sound modern, vintage, whatever, but I'm going more for like the vintage. And then from the compression, I then do some vintage, ozone vintage tape saturation, and then I add the red 3 compressor. That is everything for the vocal chain. And then you get this.
Shut your mouth. Times I gotta tell you, times I gotta tell you, how many times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. Times I gotta tell you, times I gotta tell you, let's take a trip. Times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. Times I gotta tell you, times I gotta tell you, how many times.
Let's run it from the top.
The miseducation and representation of things that were not yet understood. But all I found was greatness, and greatness in me. I am my father, I am his father, I am the future's never too far for the deeds of the heart, scattered amongst the stars. It's a part of the fabric that wove us together. I was told you gotta build bridges to find out really who you are. Try to do it by yourself, you won't get too far. Don't go too far or you might miss your star. That's the 24th galaxy, the place I call home, to be over the edge on top of the world. That could be so cold, that could change your goals. I'll be forgetting everything you thought you know. Was just a story made for you. If you had the time, you could think it through. Then you could see and you would feel the one you was waiting for was you.
Times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. Times I gotta tell you, times I gotta tell you, many times I gotta tell you, read a book or shut your mouth. Times I gotta tell you, times I gotta tell you.
Let's take a trip deep through the galaxy, somewhere another planet, probably only place to be free. I open my eyes and I see a bunch of people on the planet all seem to be asleep. Who ain't asleep? They are some chiefs who like to be directed and told where to go, and cannot just make up their mind on their own. They said the game should be sold and not be told. I do not have the time and I don't know of what I should say or what I should show for you to see what I see, to elevate to the top of the tree.
Yes, sir. It's us. Yeah, I'm working on a few things, but that is how I mixed it. The vocal channel, or the vocal comp bus, the vocal composition bus, is then just there, and everything bounces and bounces and bounces. What I should have done is just run the vocal bus to the song comp bus. Yeah, let me do that, see what's the difference. And then that would sound like this.
The miseducation and representation of things that were not yet understood. But all I found was greatness, and greatness in me. I am my father, I am his father, I am the future's never too far for the deeds of the heart, scattered amongst the stars. It's a part of the fabric that wove us together. I was told you gotta build bridges to find out really who you are. Try to do it by yourself, you won't get too far. Don't go too far or you might miss your star. That's the 24th galaxy, the place I call home, to be over the edge on top of the world. That could be so cold, that could change your goals. I'll be forgetting everything you thought you knew. Was just a story